everybody. Thank you so much for joining. We just wanted to share some information with Denver residents about the coming storm and about our preparations. Obviously, we know this is going to be a big storm, and Denver is ready. And so we just want to tell you a little about the precautions and the steps and the preparations that we are taking so folks know what to expect in the coming days. Obviously, we know major storm coming tonight through Friday. We're focused on how we prepare the city to be ready so everyone can safely survive these next couple days. In terms of what our response is like, we are calling this a Tier 4 response. That is the highest level of response that we have in the city. Starts at Tier 1, goes up through Tier 2, Tier 3, and Tier 4. Amy, who's here from Dottie, will talk a little bit more about the implementation of that, but some of the high-level things you should know about what that means for the city. First is we are getting ready to deploy the maximum number of snowplow responses that we ever have available in the city. That means we'll have all 54 of our heavy plows out. They will be covering all of our arterials and all of our collectors, the main roads around the city. Our plan is that we will be able to do 2 passes on those major arterials and collectors every 24 hours. So what we do with these shifts, we have 54 heavy-duty trucks. Those will be staffed every 12 hours, so we will be running them around the clock. So we have personnel who will do an overnight shift, then we'll have the next team come in and do the day shift, and so they will be running constantly these 54 heavy plows. We also have activated 36 residential plows. Those will be also running 24 hours in loops, 12-hour shifts. Those will be plowing our residential streets. So with that capacity, we will also be able to get to every residential street in Denver around every 24 hours. That means both we can get to every residential street every 24 hours, every major arterial and collector about every 12 hours. I want to say one more thing about bike lanes. I do know we have some real enthusiasts who still are planning to bike tomorrow, even after 12 inches of snow. We will be working on clearing out our protected bike lanes. Those will require about 24 to 36 hours per pass, but we should be able to get there in the first 24 to 36 hours. So that's a bit about what we have prepared on our deployment. Really grateful to the team who has helped pull this together, particularly Amy at Dottie. I'll say one more thing about city services so folks are prepared for that tomorrow. We are going to be encouraging folks to stay home, to stay out of the traffic and the snow as our part in doing that. We will have city and county Denver offices will be closed tomorrow to in-person customer service. Our employees that are non-essential will still be working from home, but folks that are essential, of course, our officers and others will still be out and in person providing those services. Solid waste services will still be going forward as possible, so we're optimistic they'll be able to get access to all the alleyways and streets to keep that open. We will have a warming center open at the Glenarm Recreation Center that's available for folks that need that. Our migrant centers are still open. We are not exiting people during the time of this storm, so we're pausing exits. And most important of all, the St. Patrick's Day Parade will still be happening on Saturday, and I will be there. So that's a little bit of our update. We want to make sure people have that information so that they can use. I want to introduce Amy Ford, who's our director from Dottie, who can talk a little bit more through our implementation and our plan going forward.
Thank you, Mayor. And really, just to add on to what the mayor is saying, it's now about the people. And so our message is to stay safe. And as we do that, we want to ask people a couple of things. Stay off the roads if you can. Don't drive. If you don't need to go somewhere, please don't. But if you do need to drive somewhere, do a couple of things for us. One, make sure you have good tires and that you're driving safely. But also drive slowly and prepare, obviously, for those response times as you're coming into stops and intersections. For those of you who are wanting to bicycle, and we know there might be a few of you, we're asking just a couple of things. Be prepared to ride in a shared lane condition. Obviously, our plows will be out. We will be working through our protected bike lanes, as we noted in the 24 to 36-hour cycle. But be prepared for those shared bike lanes. In fact, prepare maybe that you even move into our trail systems. Might be a better and safer place for you to actually ride. Also, don't forget to shovel. We know that the city asks and everyone that you do shovel your sidewalks. Our commercial properties, as soon as the snow is done, we ask that you start clearing those. Equally so with our residences. You have a 24-hour period, obviously, to clear your roads. Let's make sure that people can move and get around as they need to go. And as we go through this, you're going to see potentially, given the nature of the storm, given the heaviness and the depth and the weight of the snow, perhaps down power lines, down trees and others. If you see down power lines, obviously, please reach out and call Excel. If you're seeing down trees or down branches and others, please please do clear those off as best we can. There are services that we can provide online that help you do that and clear that debris. And equally so, know that our Denver Solid Waste teams will come and we will do collects and pickups of those debris items as you put those out in for trash pickup. And then as we finish all of this up, as my colleagues are standing here next to us, there may be stuck vehicles out there for those of you who still feel the need to be on the roads. And if you are a stuck vehicle, know that we have a short tow program where we may tow you off of the road into a parking lot or otherwise. Our DPD partners and others, and we can provide that sort of phone number. You can call that phone number and reach out, and we will tell you where we've actually towed that vehicle to. So I think the important thing as we close this out is to remember to help each other. We're in a city that cares and wants to ensure that everyone stays safe. Recognize that your neighbors and others may not be able to help when they're doing their sidewalks and helping to clear. Be safe and look out for each other. Volunteer. If kids are staying home tomorrow, which I know they are because of DPS has already canceled school, my son's very excited. He will be going out to help with sidewalk clearance with some of our neighbors. So be safe. Continue to ensure that you are protected as you're out there, and know that we're out there and we're ready to help you. Thank you. And we're happy to answer questions if you might have them.
What exactly goes into a Tier 4 storm, and what would be the step from like a 3 to a 4, and how often is a 4 called by the city?
Very rarely. It's probably once or twice a year that we have a Tier 4 storm. And for us, it's really a combination of factors that go into these tiering of our systems. Tier 1 is from light snow. There will be, let's say, mitigating things like the weather will help us clear up the snow, et cetera. And it also allocates then the number of resources that we put onto our streets. We always will be paying attention to what we call our major arterials and our collectors. So a major arterial, just for point of reference, is something that has a stripe in it. So when we talk about major arterials, those are things like Colfax and Sheridan and MLK Boulevard and others. Residential streets are the ones without the stripe. So as we put all those pieces together, then it activates our different deployment schedules. We always have our snow command in play, and that's something that we continue to do. So as you run through this, the Tier 4 level for us is heavy accumulation, major drifting potential, several days of clearance, active work on our paths and our cycles where we're doing more than one day of response and how we move that together. And that is where we are today.
Andy, can you further explain residential side street plowing and what residents can expect there? I know you've said in the past it doesn't mean bare pavement.
That is very correct, and thank you for actually clarifying that. So when we talk about residential plowing, what you are going to see in that 24-hour pass that the mayor talked about is we're going to be moving down to one pass through the middle of the street. The goal is not to get to bare pavement. The goal is actually to sort of ease and smooth that pass. If you recall, we had some instances where we had severe, let's say, icing and rutting, and the goal of the residential plowing program is to actually avoid some of that. So that's what you will be seeing. You're going to see us continue those activities. Again, our goal is to get to every residential street in a 24-hour period, and then we might cycle back through again, depending on the accumulation and what we're seeing on the roads.
Mayor, sorry guys, I'm going to have the mayor answer one question in Spanish and then he has to go.
So as you know, in the small residence, streets are not that clear, especially days after the storm. Do you have anything that you're going to do that's going to help in the small residence?
¿Quieres que contesto en español? Perfecto. Ya, gracias. La cosa importante es que en las días que vienen tenemos personas que van a estar trabajando todo el día y toda la noche, y eso significa que vamos a pasar una vez cada 24 horas por todos los calles grandes, los arterials o collectors que llamamos, y también que vamos a pasar por todos los calles residenciales, también una vez cada 24 horas. Entonces significa que debemos llegar de todos los calles pequeñas en los barrios cada 24 horas.
Como la tormenta se prevé que sea fuerte, ¿cuánto tiempo tendrá los vecindarios de las personas para limpiar las aceras? Y sabemos que la ley les exige, obviamente, a tanto tiempo después de la tormenta.
Vamos a los sidewalks que tenemos, lo siento que no conozco esa palabra en español, pero los sidewalks, voy a usar Spanglish, los sidewalks, pedimos a la gente que viven en las casas para ayudar ahí, porque es su propia oportunidad para limpiar los sidewalks. Nosotros vamos y también queremos los niños y otros que pueden ayudar, deben. Pero los calles vamos a limpiar nosotros, y también los calles de las bicicletas también vamos a limpiar cada 24 horas. Gracias.
Señor, para Telemundo,
Sí.
hay mucha gente en la calle, inmigrante y gente sin hogar. ¿A dónde pueden acudir ellos? ¿Va a haber gente de ustedes patrullando ahí, ayudándola a llevarlos a los albergues o algo?
Ya, es muy importante que gente que están viviendo en la calle, si son migrantes que ya han llegado o son gente sin casas, tenemos oportunidades, tenemos sitios, refugios que están abiertos, tenemos el Rec Center en Glenarm que va a estar abierto para gente que necesitan obtener más caliente, que no quieren quedar frío. Y también tenemos programas por la gente sin casa para venir al dentro, unos sitios que tenemos al lado oeste de ciudad. Entonces, toda la gente que están afuera tiene oportunidad para venir al dentro por la storm. Gracias.
But Amy and the rest of the team will stick around for more questions.
You're in better hands.
Question for the mayor that we saw.
I apologize, the mayor does not have time.
Oh, yeah,
It's
it's
a post on social media that says someone from your office went to one of the encampments, came to the encampment and threatened the migrants with racist rhetoric and yelling at them to go to Chicago and New York. He said they will show up again tonight to try to dissolve the camp.
Inaccurate. And so I will say what we have been doing is going out to folks that are in encampments and encouraging that we have opportunities for them to come inside. And so what we know is we don't want anyone, if you've never been to Denver before for a Denver winter, you've never lived through a Tier 4 storm, you don't know what you're facing with 12 inches of snow potentially tonight. So we have gone back repeatedly to offer folks the opportunity to come inside with opportunities to come inside. Some folks have refused to come inside. We've said we would really encourage you either to come inside at one of our sites or to pursue onward travel to a city that doesn't have a foot of snow coming, because we are worried about their safety. So we don't want folks outside in the snow without care, but that's, of course, their decision. We're offering them inside options. We're offering them onward travel options, but our goal is if you're stuck outside, we don't want you in a tent, we want you inside.
Administration's first big snowstorm.
I'm
How
so
are you
sorry.
gonna handle this?
We are ready, and Amy's going to tell you all about it.
He really doesn't have to go.
Sorry.
No, thank you.
Thanks so much.
Let me do your, I'll come back to you. Yeah.
78 neighborhoods and only 36 residential plows. How are you prioritizing who's getting plowed first for these residential side streets?
That actually is a great question. So we have, our plow systems are in 2 different locations in the city, so out at Roslyn and also here more centrally Denver, and so they go simultaneously to those. So there is not a prioritization list as far as our 36 and how we handle our residential streets.
We talked a lot about the snow and the plan for tomorrow. What does Friday look like?
Friday is more of the same. And I think when we talk about this right now, you're going to see our plows, our heavy plows deployed all the way through Friday, possibly into Saturday as we continue to work to get those roads to bear, and that's a focus of ours. With our residential plow program, right now we are planning on working all the way through Friday. Again, maybe 1-2 passes through with those residential streets. And as conditions warrant, as it potentially warms, which we may see happening in the weather schedule, we'll continue to look at how we handle plowing.
Follow-up, is that messaging for people who live in Denver, be prepared for this to be impacting you all day on Friday too?
I think the message really for people in Denver is to be prepared that this storm could be impacting you starting tomorrow all the way through Friday and potentially into the weekend.
When was the last time Denver had a Tier 4?
We were just talking about that earlier with the mayor, and I think what we were saying is around 23, 22, well, the ice storm, and I'll clarify that, and then I'll give you guys better sound as we go through that. What do we think? When was the last one?
I think it's been at least 3 or 4 years
Oh, wow.
since that happened.
Yeah.
But we do prepare every year because it's unpredictable.
Right. So the last time that we believe that we saw a storm of this magnitude, our Tier 4, if you will, was really about 3 or 4 years ago. And some of you have been living through that with us in previous years where we've had our Snowmageddons and some of the others. But to know that we are here, we're ready, and we're ready to make sure that we keep these streets and the community safe.
What's the biggest challenge going into a weather event like this?
I think the biggest challenge is really about coordination. And so it's coordination to ensure that we have the people, the manpower, the resources, our fleets, that we actually are able to communicate well with the community who are as much a partner in this activity as frankly our team and our members are. And so as we put all of that together, I think the important thing to remember is it is a partnership. We do our part in how we keep the roads clear and how we ensure we ask the community to do their part too in helping keep each other safe.
I think people in Denver, if you've lived here for a while, you've been through these, you kind of know what you're doing, but it's spring break, we have a lot of visitors here. How do we handle that?
You know, when we think about our spring break visitors and other people who are traveling perhaps and they're experiencing sort of a Denver spring snowstorm, which is something magnificent sometimes. A couple of things. One, get out early. If you can get up to the mountains, you'll enjoy that travel. Stay in Denver, enjoy, spend your time. You're going to have restaurants, businesses, and others who are ready to help people who may be a little more not able to move around quite as much. And we also ask again that as you're on these roads and as you're on these streets, if you cannot drive, don't drive. So stay put, enjoy the community, enjoy what we have to offer here, and we'll keep you safe and get you where you need to go.
Any advice, last-minute preparations before the weather hits this evening?
Last-minute preparations for people. Obviously, anyone with vehicles, make sure your tires are good. Keep some storm wear and weather gear in your vehicle. If you don't need to go out onto the road, don't. For our residents and others, make sure your plows, i.e. your shovels, are ready. Because we're going to be asking you to make sure that you're helping out and making sure that you keep our transportation system moving, i.e. the sidewalks and the areas around you. And then again, continue to be safe and aware of your surroundings. You know, when we look at heavy snow like this, the idea of falling trees or down power lines, something that is a risk, and we want to make sure that you're aware of where you are.
With regard to the coordination piece that you mentioned, I see Chief Thomas here. Chief, would you mind answering just a question about how your team is preparing and what residents can expect in terms of police service?
Certainly, I expect that you won't see any interruption in police service. I mean, all of our vehicles primarily are SUVs, so we are capable of getting through the snow. We have access to chains, so I don't anticipate any interruption in police service.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Yeah,
Thank you all.